Season 3 of Overwatch 2 just dropped, and that means that along with new skins and events, we also got a new map, the Antarctic Peninsula. Aesthetic-wise, this map is a breath of fresh air, but with every new map, there is a multitude of different areas that you might not even realize exist until you hop in ranked, die to a tracer, watch the kill cam, and say to yourself, oh, that's a spot? So we are going to seek to alleviate that stress by giving a basic run through of the map and how it functions. I do want to say that this is a first look at the map and not necessarily a comprehensive guide just yet. Maps are generally pretty fluid when discussing different metas, so I will try my best to encapsulate different ideas, but if the playstyle of the map changes drastically, I will probably make a new video that will be captured by a card on the top right of your screen if it does eventually come out. Keep in mind that this comes from the perspective of a support player, but even if you are a DPS or tank player, this still should help you quite a bit. Alright, so to start everything off, we are going to be going on the map with the big ship, which is called Icebreaker, for those that may not be aware with the names yet. And I wanted to show you guys a little bit of what I think about all of these maps and where do I think these maps are really going to lend themselves to combat. So I think 100% you are most likely going to be fighting through this high ground area on the left here, which goes directly through spawn in the caves. It's an easy walk right past the mega on both sides. This is typically going to lend itself as a map to a more brawly type of play style because this right side isn't super great. And what it reminds me a lot of is Legion Night Market, I think it's called, or maybe you want to play for this mega. But no matter what, it's going to come down to what team is a little bit better at the brawl, I believe. I don't know how ball could really work with this map, but this high ground here is especially something that you want to control. Once you do actually end up winning that fight, I could see teams trying to push up a little bit here, mostly just to like this area right here so they can see if the enemy is going to flank through this area and try to take this mega from them and maybe try to get behind them. So I think that's where you're going to want to play and posture yourself after you win that first fight to really see to make sure that you're not getting run up upon. It also kind of goes the same way for if they want to go the far left route, which I am going to check. I mean, to be quite honest with you here, this could maybe lend itself to a pokier style of play, but I just feel like this isn't really it doesn't really give you enough space to breathe because it's very easy for you to get run down on. Now, I might be wrong if the meta decides to shift in that direction, but I don't see it going that way. I think 100% you're going to be seeing teams want to take this first fight up here, at least with the Kiriko the way she is right now, and then just kind of scouting out where the enemies are going and control this as much as possible. It seems pretty simple. You're going to be probably playing a lot of Moira, Lucio, and Kiriko on this map. But let's look at what it looks like for some of the other ones so far. Actually, one more thing, just because I found this little Easter egg, and I think some of you might find it funny, is that on the outskirts of the map, there's actually a little snowman on the side here that they just kind of put here, waving at you. I don't know if I can really give it the best. There it is. I don't know. I think that's kind of funny. I don't know if it's on the other side, though. Oh, there is one on the other side. I don't know. I think that's just a nice little touch. I think that's pretty cool. It's something you guys might want to see. All right, so for our second map that we're going to be reviewing today, it is called Sublevel. It's this weird inside cave map, which I must admit these maps are actually, now that we're getting into the last two, can be very complicated. There's a lot of different ways that you can get to the point that will force you to maybe think twice before you push up too far, which we're going to actually review at the very end. But I want to actually start this one with the area that I think is not really of too much use to you. On the right side, at least for the spawn that we are right now, there's a little bit of a high ground that it reminds me a lot of Oasis City Center, I think it's called. There's this little jump pad here that gets you onto a high ground, but it doesn't really get you too much value, I want to say, at least from a support's perspective. You can see through this window, but you can't shoot through it, so I just wanted to point that out. You can't see if people are trying to rotate under you. I don't know why they ever would do that. But I think the main reason why you have this high ground is for flankers like Tracer to get onto the back line here a lot easier and maybe try to force you out of rotation or force your supports in a little bit of a uncomfortable scenario. I think that's really what they thought this was for, because I could maybe see a ball comp trying to take this advantage up here, but still it's a little bit of a stretch. It's a little bit of a stretch where because at this point, you're just going to be kiting away the whole game, and I don't really see how that's going to be definitive. I did just want to point that out, though, before we go into what I really think this map is going to be looking for, which is this high ground over here. I think the most important thing, let me just actually take you on the trip that I went through these doors over here, and it's through either this top left window, which gives you a nice little high ground that gets you a good view of the first fight where it's probably going to be happening. You could have maybe a Widow over there. The Widow can challenge Anna's off of that high ground over there, and also just the general fight as well over there. But I think what's going to be more common is maybe if a Brawl team wants to just walk through this area here. And honestly, all it is just taking control of this very, very important and special high ground that overlooks the point here that makes your life so easy just to exist and make stuff happen. But this is generally where the fights are probably going to happen. I don't know. I mean, I guess you could drop down, but it doesn't really lend itself to anything super important. I mean, Tracers might be down here lurking. After they touch point, maybe they're going to get forced out. They can chill here, and maybe you can catch them off guard when they're if your team has the high ground advantage. She can also just come back around and flank around up top here, which is an important thing that you look out for. Really, it's going to come down to you guys just kind of have to go into the custom games yourself and figure out where these Tracers are going to be flanking you when you're playing on this map as Ana. 100% though, I think you're going to be trying to take this high ground control. If your team ends up getting this high ground control, you're going to force them at least to back there or back in that corner over there. You get the point. And then you're going to be looking for ways to maybe lurk. When you're playing support or you're just playing in those metal ranks, because I know a lot of people struggle with this, is specifically staggering on this point, I think is going to be extremely easy to do. There's a moment in which you push too far that you're going to be taken advantage of by Junker Queens or Tracers. And I would say that line is honestly, it's conveniently this little caution mark right here if you're going to be walking down. Because if you look at this, if you win this fight, it's very common that a Junker Queen or maybe an entire team could just be lurking right here. And if the enemy team doesn't try to take this angle up there and they see one person just out of position right there, I could totally see a Lucio speed boost just completely demolishing you. So the big thing I want to say to wrap this map off with the bow is to make sure that you're not pushing too far alone on this map, because you will die a lot if there are people lurking in these areas. I mean, look at this. No one can see me here. If Diana tries to walk a little bit too far without her teams, bam, dead. It's that simple. I think a lot of fights are actually going to be happening out here. If a Brawl team wants to play Brawl on this map, you could easily put a Reaper here. It's inconspicuous. You could also do it on the other side just with a little bit of scouting. This area is not safe once the fight has been won. Once it is not just the first neutral fight. Keep that in mind on both sides. But let's get on to my last and most favorite map, honestly, out of the whole three, Lab. This map is really fun because, I mean, to me personally, I'm not a whole lot of a Brawl player. I like playing Ball. I like playing Dive because I'm an Ana player. Again, the big problem with these maps is that the spawns are so complex and it's very difficult to really render in your mind what's going on here when you're first logging on. But I mean, there's a good thing that you're here. You're watching this video. I can try to help you out. The big thing I want to say that I don't want to see players doing off the rip is taking this bottom route to the point which leads you to a position right here. And we'll talk a little bit more about why. Specifically for support players, I just don't think this position really lends itself to anything super unique or helpful. I mean, there are some health packs on the way, but I think something that's a lot stronger and is going to be more important for you to take is this high ground right here. I mean, just look at this thing. As an Ana, as a Kiriko, as literally anything, this is just such a helpful little vantage point of the point itself, as well as a lane for a fight right here. It leaves you pretty safe as well. I mean, there are some flank angles that we'll discuss shortly, but overall, this is definitely, without a doubt, I think the place that you want to be as a neutral fight for supports. Now, to speak about those angles, because that's very important that you understand, specifically Tracers, Genji, Sombras, maybe if she gets played a little bit more. The big thing that you have to worry about is this little mini that goes under that high ground, because this is something that Tracers can very easily manipulate. And I think, honestly, it's going to take another Tracer to just duel down here in order to make this work out and maybe create a safer environment for you, because there's a lot of different ways you can take this low high ground. You could take it through mid, which I don't think a whole lot of players are going to do because it exposes yourself. The main thing you're going to want to listen for is the blink from the Tracer going out of spawn and taking a blink here, 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 and then one blink away here, and she's one clipping you. That's the big thing that you want to understand, that you are listening for people that are below here, because that's the number one most dangerous thing you're going to have to deal with. Sure, you could see a tracer maybe taking these outside flanks here, but it's just going to take too long. If a whole team wants to push through here, I could maybe see that, or teams maybe try to flank all the way around and force you into this not so great position. What I'm going to say, though, is as a team, you are going to want to try and hold this high ground as much as possible. At least that's my first impression. That's what happened in the games that I have played prior. After you win that first fight, it's generally going to be about the same. I could see Brawl teams taking advantage of just how much space is here and maybe using these mega packs to heal a Brawl and sustain a little bit harder and maybe controlling a little bit closer. I definitely could see that happening. Again, it's that same idea. This once you pass this line here, you are in unsafe territory. You cannot know where these people are. There are a lot of angles. You have to make sure that you're maintaining vigilance. It wasn't so apparent on the first map we looked at, which was Icebreaker. It wasn't so apparent that that was a problem. But on these maps right here, I mean, just look at these rooms. There's so many weird mini health packs. There's so many low high grounds. That makes so much sense. There's so many low grounds. There's so many corners that you can just take advantage of here. But that's all I got, and let's finish out the video. If you have any other new spots on this map that you do want to show off, consider joining the Discord and uploading clips to the community. Also, please let me know if map guides are something that you all want to see more of in the future. I don't see a whole lot of other people doing these types of videos, so if it's a niche that you actually enjoy, I will continue doing it. That being said, thank you guys all so much for watching, but until next time, I've got to peace out and Paz out. I'll see you in the next one.